Hello and welcome to Back on Track with Shades of Blue, Episode 1, a new song. And this is one of the songs at the beginning of the One Man and His Songs project that's closer to complete than not. This is nearly a finished song. So we're going to listen to it, we'll get all the way through to the end, and then we'll come back and have a chat about it. Okay, there we have it. So that's Shades of Blue as it currently stands. I think at this point all the music's there. I'm really looking to get it polished, to get all of the sounds sitting where they should be in the frequency range, and figure out how to make it sound like a complete piece of music. But it's pretty close. So let's go back to the beginning and do a bit of a deconstruct. Start with the bass and rhythm. Nice sparse bass line. Really tries not to get in the way. And we've got two different, just stop this for a sec, two different VST instruments. We've got BFD, which I typically use as a percussion instrument. So let's hear that. It's very simple, just providing a little bit of percussion in the background to make the rhythm that little bit more interesting, but it's quite low. majority of the drum sound comes from Groove Agent. So this is Steinberg's own internal Cubase internal VST. It's really nice Groove Agent. A horrible interface, an absolutely nightmare of an interface to get used to, but very powerful. I'm just starting to get to grips with it now. I'm by no means a master, and there are times when it thwarts me. It's like, where is the information? Where have you hidden it? But that's the case with many VSTs, just perseverance. And the more I learn, the more I get to grips with the thing, then new functionality begins to reveal itself, and it starts bending to my will. So we've got quite like the groove, nice and laid back. And then a little bit later on, I'll just jump over here and we'll hit here. There's a second Groove Agent line that comes in that pads the sound out a bit more. So that's pretty much where that stands. I'm quite happy with the rhythm, and what I need to do now is, you can see that I've already split out the instruments into the various outputs. Really dive into that mixing process and figure out how to make a drum kit sound as good as I possibly can. I've tried harder with this song than any other, but I think I've still got a way to go. Okay, onto the guitars. Now, this song really started out live as a guitar song, and I'll play you the guitar line, the main underlying guitar line, and then explain why it's a little bit unusual. See this harmonic info marker at the top? It's telling you what key the song is in, and you can see that every 2 bars it changes. It goes 2 bars major, A major, 2 bars A Dorian, and it does that for the entire song. Switches between major and Dorian. If you see gaps like this, it's just because I've not updated the chord, the harmonic map. That goes the entire length of the song, and so you get this sense of rising and falling, slightly uplifting major and slightly down minor. But I had no idea I'd done that when I came up with this guitar line. I'm sat there at the guitar, fingers on fretboard, just strumming out these melodies, these arpeggios. That's the first one. This is the second one. So I thought I was getting notes wrong when I was trying to work out what scale and key this song was in. I thought there must be wrong notes. I was coming up with all sorts of ideas of what it could possibly be, and none of them fit. In fact, there is no single scale that all of those notes fit in, and it's only when I deconstructed it down to the level of the bar that I was able to say, well, for the first bar I could well be in A major. It feels like an A key, and all of those notes are in A major. Same was true of the second bar. And then when I got to the third bar and discovered that these notes didn't fit in A major, and I asked myself, well, what candidates are there? And A Dorian came up, and same with the fourth bar. And then when I went through the whole song as it existed at that time, with just the guitar lines. But yeah, that's the answer. I'm modulating between major and Dorian every 2 bars. Yay me. I had absolutely no idea. Anyway, so that's what it's doing. Once I've made that realization, I then start wrapping the other music around it. So when I came to write the bass line, I knew what key I was in, and therefore I was able to play notes that was in that key. And this is usually a pivotal moment in a song's development, where I'll have an original idea, essentially with my eyes closed. I'm just kind of listening to the sounds, what sounds good. And then once I've got to a stage where I think that's a good idea, I'll then deconstruct it technically and say, well, what am I doing? And now I'll apply that constraint to myself and start writing the song within those confines. And I find that restriction breeds creativity. This is a statement as old as the hills. It's absolutely true. The fact that I'm modulating between major and Dorian all the time actually helps me write this song. And let's have a good example of that. Let's go right to the end and we'll listen to the solo. So this guitar solo was written knowing that I was flipping from major to Dorian every 2 bars. So I had 2 separate instances of Guitar Tutor loaded, showing me those different scale maps, because my brain can't translate theory that quickly. I can't instantly see those 2 different scales superimposed on each other. So I would have 2 instances of this, one set to A major and then the other one set to A Dorian. And then I would know what notes I could play on the fretboard, because I can't work that stuff out real time. Anyway, let's listen to the solo, and you can see it modulating between major and Dorian. Major, Dorian, major, Dorian, major, Dorian. So can you see when I'm doing those hammer-ons and pull-offs at the beginning of the solo, they actually vary, and it's not easy to tell when you're just listening to the thing that this is a semitone drop because I'm in A major, and down here we've got a full tone drop because A Dorian goes from what's that, A to G, and this is from A to G sharp. So it's quite subtle, but absolutely essential if you want to actually be in key. So that was great fun. A couple of evenings of just playing around with ideas and obviously trying to come up with something that's melodically consistent. It's absolutely essential, I think, when you're writing music, that it's okay to have kind of technical restrictions and these self-imposed rules that help you to come up with ideas, but it can't ever get in the way of the song. It can't ever get in the way of the music. That's got to be dominant. So I think that solo is quite musical. Please let me know. What do you think? So that's a good example of me using theory that I've derived. What am I doing? Oh, it turns out I'm doing this. Okay, right. Well, I'll write a solo under those constraints. Let's have a listen to the keyboards. So firstly, we've got this Prosperity, which is another Steinberg internal product, Dark Planet. Just a pad bed, really. Okay, I just pull that back a bit. And then in comes the Juno 106 coming in. Roland's mighty 80s synth, early 80s. Just an absolutely magnificent. Very, very nice. I'll do a building blocks on the Roland Cloud subscription service at one point. A fairly amazing product. So we've got... So those pads just giving a little bit of thickness underneath. And then towards the middle of the song, the next sound that we'll hear is this trickler pad. I think it's pronounced trickler, which is yet another Steinberg internal product, Pad Shop this time. A great, well, the name's in the title. It does very, very nice pads indeed. But this one is a particularly thick and meaty bloff. Let's have a listen to this. That's single notes. It's a very, very nice sound. Just thickens the whole thing up. And so in the context of the entire song, that provides quite a nice contrast. I really like this. Amazing, isn't it? Just single notes really thicken the sound up. Well, if you agree, let me know. So, and then finally over to the last instrument. This is the Arturia's emulation of the Mini Moog. I'm gonna say it's the greatest synthesizer of all time, and I'm quite happy to take anyone on. Absolutely amazing. An entire decade was built on this thing, and its bigger brother, the Moog Modular. Bob Moog was just the geniusest of geniuses. I don't think the Moog filters have been even equalled to this day. With all fancy digital wizardry, he just absolutely nailed it. Fantastic. So we've got a little Moog solo at the end. I used to say Moog. I only discovered a few years ago in an interview with Bob Moog himself when he introduced himself as Bob Moog. And you go, well, okay. You can't really argue with the actual person describing their own surname. So Moog it is. In comes the tuner. Okay, so there's on my to-do list. I'm finding this stuff out like as we speak. The solos are slightly out of sync. These two instrumentals are slightly out of sync, and they're just clashing with each other a little. I've recorded them independently, and I've not drilled into a sufficient level to identify that there's actually a problem here. Let's just listen again. Okay, so if you play either of those on their own, they sound great, but I've just discovered that they don't sound particularly good together. So I'll put that on my note, on my list of things to do, and we'll improve that for next time. And then we've just got the mixing process. I've not really spoken too much about Pauline's vocals, but they're wonderful. Let's just have a listen to the vocals, and again, just vocals and rhythm. That'll be nice.
Long shadows linger like cold winter rain, and here's the sense of falling, and here's the same old pain.
So really, really nice. Let's have a look at what's going on there. Quite a bit of stuff going on over here. This is a recent discovery. Something that I need to do a building blocks episode on. What's it called? The VC670, which is I think it's a Fairchild from memory. It's a week or so ago I looked up what this piece of equipment was, and it's apparently an extremely famous compressor, Fairchild, and very expensive, emulated wonderfully by IK Multimedia. But I'll do a deep dive on this because this was a discovery and a heck of a tool. And then other than that, I've actually got two compressors. This is the FabFilter compressor, then into an EQ. This maximizer, Pauline tends to sing quite quiet, so I'll just give a little bit of just overall boost to help her compete with the other sounds. Then there's the second compressor, just doing a great job, and then the de-esser with a throw to a delay. And that's pretty much the whole song as it stands right now. I'm going to try quite hard to get this one finished reasonably soon, reasonably quickly. I want to get to the stage where we have our first complete product on the One Man and His Songs project, and this is a good candidate because it's one of the closest to being complete out of the gate. So I hope that you want to come back and see episode 2, and if you do, subscribe please, hit notifications, then you'll find out when it comes out and all of the other content I produce. I very much hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time. Thanks very much for watching.